Good morning. We'll call today's Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderwoman Keys. Vice Chair Saunier.
Present.
Alderman Browning. Alderman Aldridge.
Present.
Chair Clerk Hubbard.
Here.
Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Keys. We have 5 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, June 5th, 2025, Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, Thursday, June 12th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Vice Chair Saunier and seconded by Alderman Aldridge. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderwoman Keys. Vice Chair Saunier.
Aye.
Alderman Browning. Alderman Aldridge.
Aye.
Chair Clerk Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Keys. We have 5 aye votes.
All right, with that, we've successfully approved the minutes from Thursday, June 5th, Tuesday, June 10th, and Thursday, June 12th. With that, we'll recognize Alderwoman Tyus for Board Bill number 4.
Good morning, Madam Chair, member of the committee. I'm before you asking for a favorable motion to pass out with a favorable recommendation for Board Bill number 4.
All right, did you have any presentation or anything you wanted to offer?
No, I don't have anybody to call. It's pretty simple.
Okay.
Actually, can I proceed? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Actually, this is something that came from when Sam Moore was the alderman, and he actually had changed it to F, local commercial, this property, and there's a map at the back of it. They wanted to change it to G, which was not local, it was G, commercial and office, and I pushed back. I don't like to change zoning in neighborhoods any more than they need to be. This is a bill that CARE St. Louis, STL St. Louis, is going to move their headquarters from off of Martin Luther King up in the 750-800 block, and they're gonna build a new building right across from the building they built a couple of years ago, which was the Alumnus House. Unfortunately, the Alumnus House was damaged in the tornado. It's right at Newstead and St. Louis Avenue. Wind picked up a car and took it through the top floor. So there's a big hole. If you go by there right now today, there's about 500 people working there. So they're putting that back. But they're rethinking how they're gonna build this building now because it was a lot of glass at the other building. And so us thinking that we would never have a tornado since 1959, we have to rethink. But in the meantime, they're still gonna move the building. They are gonna keep the clinic. I was really concerned that we were just gonna be moving something that was of need from one African-American community to another one. But they have assured me they are going to keep the clinic there because they have another clinic at Homer G. Phillips that's not that far away. But they are consolidating their office across from the new Alumnus Center, and they want to continue to build in this community. A couple of things that they needed to tear down, they no longer need to tear down. They just have to scoop them up. Unfortunately, all but one of my neighborhoods, of the 12 neighborhoods, 9 or 10 of them were affected, and this is in the Greaterville area, and it was affected, and it's just changing the zoning. Some parts are C, multifamily, some parts are F, neighborhood commercial. If you look at the map, they want them all to be, and that's on the last page, G, local commercial and office district, and there will be an office that will be built there.
Thank you. We'll start with questions. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Browning.
No questions.
Alderwoman Keys.
No questions, but I'm always excited to hear when some building is going on, so congratulations.
Thank you. And it'll affect the elevated 11 since it's only a few blocks away.
Thank you so much. We gladly accept.
Alderman Aldridge.
No questions.
Vice Chair Sanye.
I think you were clarifying, you said that the health clinic is going to stay. Are they expanding the health clinic, or can you just re-explain that portion again?
Sure. And I didn't know who you were. I was like, who is that child? Okay, so you look much younger like that. Like something is different. Anyway, what is happening is that they're going to leave the health clinic, which is up by, I want to say 58, 56 maybe. And they're going to leave that there on Martin Luther King, 5600, I think it is. They have their headquarters kind of there now, too. They're going to move their headquarters across from the alumnus building. But I extracted promises that they were not going to move the clinic because that neighborhood needs that clinic. And we already have a clinic in Homer G. Phillips, which is not that far. And sometimes in Black communities, people think they're doing something by moving to a new building, but you're really hurting the neighborhood that's already there, which is the Wells Goodfellow neighborhood.
Okay.
Which I think the chair, myself, and Alderwoman Boyd all share.
Thank you. And yourself and these folks have already talked to like residents, and I'm just curious how those community conversations have gone.
Oh, well, they've talked to residents a long time ago. Okay, so this was done under Alderman Sam Moore. Okay, this is when this project started. I've tried to continue all his projects and keep them going, so it's already, they just found out that they couldn't put the office building in F neighborhood commercial, so it had to be a G or an H. They went for H, but H let more things in, so I pushed back, and we compromised on making it a local G, where it would only be office building. You couldn't bring in some unintended consequences. When you rezone and you start to get, the higher you get, the more things they allow in that zoning area.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, with that, Alderwoman Tyus, you're welcome to close.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. As I said before, this is going to be a great new office building from STL Care. They already have a new building across the street. So we're excited about this becoming another project. They have a couple of more that they're going to do in the neighborhood. And I'll come before you to ask for your favorable consideration and pass out with a do pass recommendation for Board Bill number 4, which would change zoning from C multifamily, F neighborhood commercial district, and consolidate it all to G local commercial and office district in the 43 and 4300 block of St. Louis Avenue and Maffitt.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass Board Bill 4 with a due pass recommendation.
It was moved by Alderman Aldridge and seconded by Alderman Cone. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone. Aye. Alderwoman Schweitzer. Aye. Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Vice Chair Sanye. Aye. Alderman Browning.
Aye.
Alderman Aldridge.
Aye.
Chair Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
We have 7 aye votes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Congratulations. With that, we'll recognize Alderman Aldridge for Board Bill 19.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and members of the committee. Board Bill 19 is a SID for a project that I'm really excited is finally almost complete. It's a project that has been sitting vacant for a very long time, Jefferson Arms Building. It moved with being able to get done under the previous Alderwoman, Miss Tamika Hubbard. I was about to say Tamika Clark Hubbard. Miss Tamika Hubbard, and hopefully we will start to see this actually opening up in the next few months. But this will be a SID for Jefferson Arms Building, which the property lines would be 409 through 415 North Tucker to the west, St. Charles to the north, Locust to the south, and North Tucker to the east. And I do have a expert who has been working on the SID that can talk more about the SID and the benefit of why this SID is needed for this location. If I could bring him up, Madam Chairwoman.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for the time this morning. As Alderman Aldridge introduced me so eloquently, my name is Nick Hartzler. I'm a resident of the First Ward, and I work for Steadfast City as a senior project manager. We've been hired by the developer of the Jefferson Arms to help them go through the process of establishing the SID.
Excuse me, could you speak into the mic,
Oh,
please?
yep, I'm sorry. A little
You
tall.
can pick it up.
Yes. Perfect. Sorry about that. Too tall. We've been hired to help them go through the process of establishing the SID, as well as help them with compliance involved with obtaining all of the incentive packages that were approved. Just to kind of recap the timeline for the incentives for this project. A TIF was originally approved back in 2017 as part of the redevelopment plan. It included, to help fund the TIF, the establishment of a SID and TDD sales tax. When that redevelopment plan was established, it authorized those districts, but it didn't create them. So this is kind of going through the process of finalizing all the steps in place to get the entire incentive package aligned. The TIF redevelopment plan was amended in 2021 after the project suffered some delays from COVID and just trying to get the financing in place. That first amendment, it did two things. One, it delayed the required substantial completion date, so it pushed that back to allow the developer time to finish the project, as well as bring the redevelopment plan into the current MWBE requirements that were established, I believe, in 2021 or 2020, around that time. So it kind of brought it all together. But it did not extend the life of the TIF. So the clock on the TIF had already started, and it will expire in 2040. Throughout those delays that the project experienced, the costs went up dramatically. The original approved project costs were $105 million. Since then, the project has ballooned to $135 million. And so when we were brought on to help the developer, we kind of looked through what was the best for both the project and the city. And rather than seeking to amend the TIF amount or increase that amount, we thought the best way to increase the proportional incentive value for the project was to do a couple of different things. One, what wasn't considered originally with the SID was a special assessment. We've added a special assessment on the hotel room. So that's included in the petition of the board bill that the SID will be authorized to levy up to $5 per room night for each person staying at the hotel. Additionally, because the TIF is going to expire in 2040, we're seeking the ability to let the SID and the TDD, which is currently working its way through the court system, run their maximum 25 years to, again, bring the total incentive value for the project up to that 16% number that was originally authorized. And with this combination of the special assessment, letting the districts run the full length, that kind of gets us to that point. It's a wonderful project. We're looking forward to seeing it activated. It's going to be 225 hotel rooms and 235 apartments. There's also going to be, I believe, 7 retail stalls on the ground level, ranging from cafes to restaurants, a barber shop, a tailor. It's going to be a pretty neat project. So I'm looking forward to seeing it activated downtown. So with that, I'll open to any questions that the committee may have for me. Thank you for your consideration.
We'll go with questions. You ready for? Okay, Alderman Cone.
Yes.
Alderwoman Slicer.
Thank you so much. Always great to see you. Mr. Hartzler, thank you for presenting today. Alderman Aldridge, thanks for presenting this as well. In the bill on page, one of the early pages, I think 3, it says that it has blanks where public hearing information is. Is that an oversight, or is that just it needs to be amended to include the public hearing? I assume it was noticed for today. Use the mic.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, it was noticed today. I worked, I'm sorry, is that okay? Thank you. I worked with Mr. Kennedy to make sure it was properly noticed. We had, it's there, while there are 3 parcels in the SID is, they're all the same owners. So we mailed out the public notice 2 weeks ago. and we published the written public notice in the St. Louis Legal Journal.
Does the bill need to be updated to have today's date in it? It's just blank. Page 3.
Yes.
Yes, I think we can,
Just a friendly amendment.
a friendly amendment to put today's date in it. And then to echo what he was saying is, yes, so we worked with the clerk because I fell into one of these with a SID before. I think the one that maybe we've done where we had to make sure that it was published in the journal for at least 2 weeks, that it also got all the signatures, and that we had to give a 2-week delay to make sure that the public is aware about it. But if you have an amendment, Alderwoman, from the first friendly amendment, just to add today's date on page 3, I think you're talking about line 3 as well, correct?
Yes, line 3 just needs today's date. It's a very small note, but if someone goes back and reads it, they'll probably want to know that was done.
Absolutely.
And then this is my ignorance showing. Is it normal to have a TDD and a SID in the same bill?
So what the TDD portion in this bill does is it doesn't actually establish the TDD. It's more because the way that the TIF redevelopment plan was written, that it pledges the sales tax revenue from the SID and the TDD. This basically is authorizing that those revenues generated from the TDD go to the TIF first. So that's kind of the action that's in there, why that's included. So it's not establishing
TIF first, not the TDD first.
Correct. And so that's the TIF note will be paid off first, and then once the TIF note expires in 2040, then the remaining life of the 2 districts will kind of continue to accrue.
And it's a $5 tax to the room. So did you mention what the tax would be for any of the sales and the retail sales? Is it 1%?
So I believe currently it's like 9.675% is the current sales tax. So there'd be 1% from the SID. That's what this bill would authorize, up to a 1% sales tax.
On any retail sale?
Correct. And then the TDD would also authorize up to 1%.
Okay. Also authorized up to 1%.
Yeah.
So would that be an additional tax on the rooms?
Correct.
Okay. And then I note that the page 8, there's 3 board members listed. Are those all people who work? Who are they?
They are representatives from the developer, Altera Worldwide, or the owner of the property is Altera Jefferson Arms. The parent company is Altera Worldwide. So those are the 3 executives of the firm: Mike Saramsaki, Jose Casada, and Emery Tarazi. And then the city would have it's a 5-member board. The city would appoint 2 seats of the board.
Okay. You said the city would appoint the other 2?
Correct.
Yeah. I have never voted for a single site SID location. They quite frankly make me nervous because of having so much control as a developer of a sales tax in a single location, especially when it's a sales tax and not a property tax. I understand that it gets passed on to the consumer either way. But when there's something that is being when taxes are being levied and 3 out of 5 people on the board are representatives of the get to choose how to spend the money, that makes me just nervous as a resident. I've had bad experiences with that both in my ward and then in the city in general. I think it's something that we've seen poorly used. I understand paying back paying the TIF is number 1 in importance. So would 100% of the revenue go to the TIF, or is it split 50?
Or throughout the remaining life of the TIF, 100% of the sales tax and TDD, the SID revenues, both the sales tax and the special assessment, as well as the TDD sales tax, would fund the TIF note. Okay. And likely what's going to happen is the developer will monetize that TIF note by they will sell it to a bank or some investor, and that's kind of how they capture the revenue. That's how they ultimately capture and reimburse the development cost, is kind of the process that's in place there. And I appreciate your concerns about the independent oversight of the board. I can also offer up that we've been engaged. Steadfast City has been engaged to help the developer and ultimately the SID and the TDD with their annual compliance requirements. I know that's been an issue in the past with special districts in the city. particularly SIDS and TDDs, which are required by state law to submit their budgets, their annual reports. So we've been engaged.
Publicly post their meetings.
And
have
yes,
public
and
meetings, yeah.
publicly posted their meetings, actually having those meetings.
Right.
So we will be assisting them to make sure that they are doing everything above board.
Well, it's certainly no reflection on you or Steadfast City that I don't support single-side SIDS, nor on the alderman from the 14th. Respect you both highly, and I know that you generally support really good projects. It's just something that I've been consistent on at my time at the board, and I've yet to have my mind changed on this. So maybe you will on this bill. We have a few more votes left, but I appreciate your time and letting me ask questions.
Thank you.
Alderman Browning?
Thank you. Similarly, I just have a couple questions about how you initiated this. So my understanding is that there's a petition, but my understanding is also that this building has been under construction. So who did you petition?
So the way the SID statute is written is that if there are no residents within a set district, it falls onto the property owners or representatives of the property owner. So it's the representatives of Altera Jefferson Arms LLC are the ones who sign on to the petition.
Okay, that's helpful to know. And so we talked about how the sales tax is going to go towards paying off the TIF.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to coincide and end when the TIF is paid off, or what happens after the TIF is paid?
So that's part of the piece of trying to keep the total value of the incentives proportional with the higher development costs. Is when the TIF note expires in 2040, which is would be years, I think 16 or 15 of the SID and TDD. We are seeking to keep those districts running and allow the developer to then capture those revenues that are generated, kind of I've been referring to them as the unpledged revenues of the districts because they're not pledged to the TIF, or they would no longer be pledged to the TIF. So that's that way for them to be able to keep the total value of the incentives proportional. To kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. So the original incentive agreement was $17.4 million in TIF revenue. So that's the real estate taxes and the EATs, the economic activity taxes, which are sales tax, payroll taxes, restaurant gross receipts taxes. And then $2.6 million from the SIDS for a total incentive package of $20 million against the $105 million total development costs. With the project now reaching that $135 million, to keep it proportional, we would have to see an additional about $5.8 million in incentives to keep it at that percentage that was sought originally. So again, rather than coming back asking to amend the TIF or extend the TIF or amend the total dollar amount of the TIF, that's why we thought it was most appropriate to let the districts run rather than trying to capture more TIF revenue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just basically cost changed, your costs went up, and so instead of amending the agreement, you're just going to capture this money and apply it back towards the project. And knowing, of course, that said money has to be spent on the site.
Correct. I'm sorry, please.
And so I assume that just will be tracked and reported the same way that is normally required under law, so that the public can see how the money is being captured and put back into the building.
Absolutely. That was actually a big piece of, there was a bit of a rush in having this hearing and having the legislative steps here be completed prior to the summer break because of how closely the project is to being completed. Because in order to use SID funds and on private development, there has to be blighted conditions. And so if we waited until the board resumed in September, it's possible that the blight would no longer be found on the site because the project would be completed. So this way, the blight remains while it's underway of being remediated. We're kind of checking that box of making sure that we are able to appropriately expend without breaking the law.
And just because I know some people get hung up on the term blight, under Missouri law, blight is defined, I'm paraphrasing here, essentially could use improvement.
Mhm.
And so any property that is not currently living up to its fullest potential could be considered blighted.
Mhm.
And so we're not meaning like blight as you might think of in the traditional sense of the word, but under the legal definition, this certainly would qualify. So that's understood. I appreciate you answering my questions, and I'm happy to support this.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Keys,
I have no questions, thank you.
Vice Chair Sanye.
Long track record here. When I was reading up on that's been
Yes.
going on,
Yeah.
just such a long timeline, even including Alderman James Page. So it's interesting to see all that. My question is just in regards to that. Have all of the issues with the unions, and I know there was some litigation going on, has all of that been resolved?
Yes, those issues have been resolved, and in fact, as kind of part of this, an interesting story to tell is we met with the representatives from Unite Here, actually, because of the hotel component involved with the project, and the developer basically had worked hand in hand with them to make sure that they were, happy, that they were. There were no issues, and they kind of have, as a result of that, have formed a relationship going forward. But yes, those issues that were around previously have been resolved.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Aldridge, you're welcome. And I wanted to see if there were any, let's see, just for the record, I know per the clerk, there were no speakers for Board Bill number 4, but are there any speakers for Board Bill 19? Okay. You come on up. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
I have a couple of questions.
First, share your
Oh,
name for the
I'm sorry.
clerk.
I am Justina Kramer
Kramer.
from the 13th, 11th, and 10th. Okay. A couple of questions that I had. First question was, who are the property owners? And did I hear 2040 that the TIF would mature? And would that put St. Louis City in the same situation that we always have, where we get these business who come in, who make a lot of money downtown, they don't pay their taxes, or they have abatements or TIFs or SIDs or TDDs, and then, like Ms. Ann said, the last time when we were in here and we were talking about the assessor coming out and looking at property, well, how long do we get the taxes back? Because then we have part of the city holding up this, that, and the other, and we're not making revenue off of that. Part of the reason why North St. Louis, because that's what I'm representing, North and West St. Louis, part of the reason why North and West St. Louis happen to be in the situation that it's in is because we have big ticket places like the Cardinals, the Blues, the soccer team, where we get people from all over the region who come out to participate, Borough Park Village in concerts, games, and all of that other kind of stuff. And we're not receiving the revenue from that. Them alone and receiving revenue the way we should be receiving revenue would take care of this entire city. And we wouldn't be in some of the situations that we're in. And I think it's a slap in the face that the Cardinals, the Blues, and the soccer team are bragging about raising $155,000 for tornado victims when General Motors and the United Way, just our people, our workers, and General Motors matching raised 16 grand and are now running a new campaign where if us as workers swipe our badges, General Motors will pay $10 for each person that swipes their badge. So for big name people like the Cardinals to say 155K when we did 20K just by ourselves with what we gave and what General Motors matched, and we're only a group of 4,000 people by ourselves. But that's neither here nor there. Our sports teams are the heart of our city. They bring in a lot of revenue, they bring in a lot of people, they bring in a lot of business to the areas around us. And those businesses need to be and should be supporting St. Louis. Yes, it's about them making money, and yes, it's about them developing, but they also need to be developing the city in which they are having their businesses in. And also, main question is, who are these owners? And did I hear correctly that the TIPs, the TDDs, and all of that will mature in 2040? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other speakers or any speakers online?
That's everyone.
Okay. Alderman Aldridge, I'll let you close.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. Again, an exciting project. I do think is always, important just to, these are public, to be on record. If this project were to move forward, this project has been a building for a very long time, and I'm super excited. I know that Chris and everybody from Jefferson Arms would be open to take folks on a tour. I've been on it twice, also with President Green. This would be able to generate money for the city. We're talking about property taxes now that would be paid. Since this would be a hotel, there's hotel taxes that will now go to the city. Those funds go to our general revenue budget that help us pay for various departments. You talk about refuse workers to pick up your trash. You talk about streets to make sure that we get these potholes filled and various things. So this is a project that will actually, I would say, benefit the city, and it would be a second project in the 14th Ward that I'm excited about that has this mixed hotel and resident. So we're also talking about people who will be just not coming into this location, but actually, staying here long term and actually being a additional member of the downtown community. And I just want to thank Chris and Steadfast and everybody for bringing this together, understanding this SID will be able to continue to help the infrastructure and the other needs of this project as it moves forward. And as Chris talked about, as just the equipment and the cost of this project has, the balloon has just continued to go up post-COVID when it comes to construction and everything else. So I'm excited about it. Please, I think it's coming online this summer. As he said, there's going to be, retail and the first floor, barbershop, speakeasy, restaurants, tailor shop, as well as hotel, residents. I've seen the ballroom. It is beautiful. Another event space that we could have in the downtown area. And just appreciate everybody's comments on the legislation. And with that, Madam Chairwoman, I would ask for a due pass recommendation on Board Bill 19.
Right. I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Alderman Browning and seconded by Alderwoman Keys. It'll be passed Board Bill 19 with a due pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone? Alderwoman Schweitzer? Alderwoman Keys?
Aye.
Vice Chair Saunier? Alderman Browning?
Aye.
Alderman Aldridge?
Aye.
Chair Clark Hubbard?
Aye.
Alderman Cone? Vice Chair Saunier? We have 6 aye votes, 1 no vote.
All right, with that, you successfully passed Board Bill 19. And I hope that you heard the context to be able to answer the questions on the value that it's going to bring to the city afterwards. Did you? Okay, I wanted to make sure. Do we have any resolutions for review?
We have none.
And we do have one item under committee discussions. Did you want to add some additional context to the discussion item number 1, Alderman Aldridge?
No additional discussion. I don't know how it ended on the committee discussion part, but no additional discussion. I appreciate all the committee members for voting on the SID for the Jefferson Arms location.
All right. Do we have any? Alderman Schweitzer?
Is it on discussion because there's normally a resolution that goes with the formation of a SID or SPD, as well as a bill and a resolution?
No, we've passed SIDS out of this committee without a resolution just to see it. And Mr. Chris is shaking his head, you don't need a resolution.
Nick Hartzler is shaking?
Yes.
Okay.
Only thing you need is making it 2 weeks notice for the public. Make sure it's a publication of, we still say print media. So no resolution needed, Alderwoman.
Okay, thanks.
Any written testimony?
We have none.
Any announcements? All members were present this morning, so no excuse. With that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's moved by Alderman Cone, seconded by Vice Chair Sanye. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Everyone have a blessed day.
Thank you.